Good morning, everyone. Just wanted to take a minute to give an update on the nor'easter that we're experiencing in real time. And with me, I've assembled the individuals who I have utmost confidence in, who have taken the necessary steps proactively. And we talked about this yesterday at our event on Long Island at the DOT facility to talk about preparations, but now we're in the throes of this nor'easter. It is a serious one. It is a classic nor'easter. And the individuals I'm going to introduce, Jackie Bray, our Commissioner, New York State Division of Homeland Security, Emergency Services and Homeland Security, very engaged. I want to thank her for everything she is doing, including constant outreach with our partners. And we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. Catherine Garcia, no stranger to major storms in big urban areas, head of statewide operations. And also Jana Lieber, the chair and CEO of the MPA, will give you an update. And I understand that things are looking very good, and get credit for that, because if it doesn't, they blame you. So enjoy that, Jano. And I know you had a very good experience. He just told me he was coming down and giving people directions on the subway. So he's a real hands-on leader, and I appreciate that. Also from the epicenter, Long Island, we'll be zooming in very shortly. Our Commissioner of DOT, an incredible leader as well. And I want to thank Commissioner Dominguez, the leader of the DOT. So you'll be hearing from her shortly. So let's see what we're looking at right now. This is a very serious storm, very serious. We've been preparing for this. This could be life-threatening. And we want to make sure that we took all the steps that we believe were necessary, including starting with the declaration of emergency, a state of emergency, early on in the process. Yesterday, we announced that it'd be going into effect at 8 p.m. yesterday. That allowed us time for the DOT to deploy their trucks, bring in the Thruway Authority, all the plows that we're bringing from other parts of the state. You'll get more details on that momentarily, but also the utility workers, because this is, we've seen from past storms, this is a huge point of vulnerability. You do not want to be in the middle of a storm and then start calling in utility workers to be on the ground to start doing the repairs so we can restore power. They need to be deployed and on the ground and ready to take action the second the limbs come down and bring down the wires or whatever circumstance has, because when the weather is this cold, this is where the dangerousness sets in. You cannot have people in their homes without heat for any length of time. And that is the dangerous part of what we're concerned about, why we wanted to reach out to the utilities, make sure they're on the ground, and we've received the word that they are. So we are responding quickly and urgently. And as I mentioned, it's a classic nor'easter. The snow is on track in terms of volumes, and this is what you keep track of, how much is predicted overall, how much per hour, because that is going to show you the severity. Couple that with the wind velocity, because that's what creates the whiteout conditions. But as much as we're glad it's a Saturday, very happy it's a Saturday, we don't have our normal rush hour commutes. We had anticipated, based on the projections and what was forecast, was that we'd be seeing the brunt of this during the late night hours from midnight till about 8 a.m. This storm lingered. We're still getting the same amount of volume, the same effect. But as everyone knows, we are dealing with this in live time right now, as opposed to being in a cleanup mode, which is what we had hoped for. So we're going to see some peaks now. It's continuing to pick up on the Long Island, as you know, Hudson Valley, as well as New York City. But it's high winds, heavy snow, blizzard conditions, all the elements of a classic nor'easter, and that's what we're dealing with right now. So our latest storm projections show that Nassau and Suffolk are being hit the hardest. As of 9:30 a.m., they had about 7 to 11 inches. That is going to continue to about 6 p.m. And I want to make sure everyone understands this. Even though there might be a little break or you start seeing a little clearing, don't be misled by that. There could be a gust of wind that creates whiteout conditions while you're out in the store running to get that last gallon of milk you wanted to get. Hopefully everybody gets these in advance. This is not a time to be out there shopping. But the good news is that we know the timing of this, and it will abate over the next few hours, next few days for sure, when cleanup starts. So this should not be a sustained storm, as I've seen in my experience where I lived, where it sits over you for days and days and keeps accumulating. And then it does make it very challenging to go out and get the groceries or whatever you need from the store. So people just need to hold on, just wait a little bit longer. And I will still expect another 5 to 12 inches on Long Island until about 6 o'clock tonight. New York City, a little less, but still, given the density and people parking on the thoroughfares, on the roads and in the communities, it makes it very complicated for the plows to get out there. And that's why we see problems. But 4 inches so far, another 4 to 7 before. Most of that should start abating around 3 p.m. So that is an earlier termination expected time than we're seeing on Long Island. Dutchess, Rockland, Westchester, about 2 to 4 inches, about another 1 to 5 to come. So that's what we're looking at. And again, it should not be continuing into tomorrow, which is exceptionally good news as well. Mentioned all those counties. I've been in touch with all of them, or personally, or left voicemails. My team has been in nonstop communication, particularly on Long Island, to find out what we can do to help you as you deploy your assets, what we can do to be right at your side. And so we've had very good communications. Also, I just spoke with Mayor Adams to find out if they need anything in the city of New York. All's good so far. I did offer to give him some snow shoveling tips as well, because it's all about you don't shovel snow with your hands, you shovel with your knees. You need to get down and make sure that you're putting all the weight on your knees and not your lower back. As someone who's deals with that personally, has had dealt with it personally. So I spoke to them. We offer all the support they need. And that's where good collaboration and relationships with our neighboring counties, Nassau, Suffolk, Dutchess, Rockland, Westchester, and the 5 boroughs comes into play. So we're ready to be there for them and advance anything they need. Also, we'll be hearing from Commissioners Frey and Dominguez about getting our roads cleared. This is critically important. Please do your part when you are home. You are safer, but also it's safer for our men and women who are driving the plows. It is a challenge for them to do this. They have limited visibility. They are huge. They have major blades. They have to watch out. They have to have eyes between every part of their body, including looking backwards. They have to be able to see what's going on around them, make sure that no one's in their way. So please do your part. If you have to be on the roads, which we discourage for the next few hours, but if you are there, please watch out for these drivers. They're doing their very best. Everything they're doing is for you and for your safety. So let's help them and don't crowd them as well. So, and again, just keep your eyes open for all these plows. As we're saying, this was posted even before the snow hit. See that? We are so advanced. The picture has, is that actually grass? That's extraordinary. Even beforehand, we were saying to people, avoid the travel. This was the paramount lesson. And I do believe most people listen. We do see people out on the roads, but we're not seeing the tie-ups and the problems that we've seen, as I mentioned yesterday, as we saw in places like Virginia not that long ago, when people were on a major thoroughfare, 95 jammed up, people literally trapped in their vehicles. And this has happened not just in Virginia, it's happened all across our state when people do not have the warnings and listen to the advice to stay home. So I want to thank New Yorkers who sacrificed their travel and have stayed home, and it's a good time to just hang out. So that's another whole topic. We can get into that later, but I still want to say it's still very dangerous out there. These are dangerous weather conditions, and that's why we're reminding people to avoid travel at all costs. Some of our travel tips, as I mentioned, shoveling, you're talking to the expert now. This is something I've done all my life, especially when we were little kids. And my parents would say, when you're done doing our own driveway, go next door and do the elderly neighbors. And then when they're done, go do the other neighbors. So I would spend, it seems like my entire childhood during the winter months out there shoveling to help out neighbors. And I'm encouraging young, healthy people and everybody else to look out for your neighbors. Go to their houses, just do it with a smile on your face, and they'll be so grateful. And it's good to get some fresh air if you're younger. If you're a little bit older, I've had actually a neighbor who had a heart attack shoveling the snow. So be very careful. There is a risk of overexertion for people that are not accustomed to doing it. And we're not that accustomed here in downstate. I know that. So there is a risk of heart attack. So if you feel chest pain, stop, get some help immediately. And that is what we've seen as a consequence sometimes when people are out there exerting themselves, shoveling snow. Again, watch out for your backs, shovel bending your knees. It's the best way to do it. Also, if you have to drive, this should be in your vehicle all winter long. But if you've not taken these steps, take a look what we think you should have: the water, the snacks, the spare tire, the jumper cables, food, fully charged cell phone. Yes, how about that? Making sure that you're ready to call for help if necessary. Full tank of gas, critically important, because that can be a lifesaver for people who end up getting stranded, because we're not out of this yet. We warned about this yesterday. We're in the throes of the most serious, dangerous part as we speak. We want to make sure everyone understands that. And if you have to pull over, your car breaks down, you have to pull over, stay in your vehicle. There are cases of individuals leaving their vehicles. Other cars, motorists don't see them because of the blinding conditions, and that is very dangerous as well. So make sure you're ready. Even keep that bag of kitty litter or sand in your trunk. I've used that before. You put it under their tires. If you're stuck, you back back and forth. If I can give a whole tutorial on this, we won't take the time now, but this is something I know very much. If you're at home, we want you at home, but you are also, for now, the next few hours, we're keeping an eye on whether or not there's any power lines coming down that could result in the stoppage of your power coming through, which means the lights go out and the power goes out and it gets cold quickly. So make sure all your flashlights have batteries. Check in on your neighbors. And again, while you're home, enjoy the time. I can give more recommendations on my favorite digital content. I forgot to say yesterday, I also love Ted Lasso. If anybody wants recommendations on fun things to watch. But again, I know we spent a lot of time with our families during the pandemic and had that special bonding. And now you want to get back to that feeling of being together with your kids and your family members. So just, take the time, enjoy, watch some football, do some cooking, but just please stay off the roads because it makes it so much easier for all of us involved in the cleanup. So let's make sure everyone's safe. And again, if you are outside, and I've seen a lot of people out there jogging around, not personally, but on television, jogging around Central Park and being out there, and that's fine. People dressed really warm. And I did hear one gentleman say he was up from Virginia saying how great it was that he had to wear a mask because it kept his face warmer. So just an observation there. But hypothermia can set in. It's real, especially even as temperatures as high as 40 degrees if you're wet. Or sweaty from shoveling. So be aware of the symptoms: confusion, shivering, difficulty speaking, and all of a sudden you say, it's not safe out here. So please be aware of this as well. As for your kids too, if you let the kids go out and play, make sure they're dressed super warm, that they stay close so they can come in. But it's probably not the best day to do that. I would recommend that play occur in the next couple of days, but this is not the time to be outdoors at all. At this point, I'd like to pass it on to our commissioners, Commissioner Bray and then Dominguez, to talk about our response, and then we'll hear on how the MTA is doing. And I think it's going to be a good report, but Jano's always checking to make sure there's not a last minute change. But so you'll get real-time information on the status of our subways and our buses. But right now, I do want to congratulate and commend all those individuals involved in this infrastructure, which is the lifeline of the city and Long Island and the neighboring counties. We have to keep that going. We know that's important, but we'll do it in a safe way, a way that makes sure that people and the employees get to their destinations safely and as on time as we can during the blizzard. So Commissioner Bray.
Governor, thank you. As the governor said, our forecast is on track. We do expect Long Island to receive up to 18 inches and the city and Mid-Hudson to receive a foot or more. And as she said, the most dangerous time is right now. So our message is clear: stay home. You're doing your job by staying home. We need you to keep doing that for the rest of the day today. Commissioner Dominguez and Chair Lieber will handle updates on our roads and transit, but let me give you some information on our ports. JFK, over 76% of flights have been canceled at JFK at this time. Over 90% of flights at LaGuardia have been canceled. If you were planning to fly today, certainly check with your airline before you go to the airport. Very unlikely that if your flight was scheduled for today, those flights are going, and we do not want you on the roads unnecessarily heading to the airport. We have speed reductions in place at all of our water crossings. So all of our bridges have speed reductions in place, and all of them have, we've banned empty tractor trailers or tandem trailers. Both state police and state fire have surged personnel to Long Island to assist with any needs on the roads, including rescues, and we have vehicles ready if that happens. Our stockpiles are open, and we've been in constant touch with our counties about any needs that they may have, including from our stockpiles. I do want to say a note about tonight after the storm. It is going to be very cold tonight after the storm and through the day on Sunday and into Monday. We're going to see wind chill in this area drop to between 0 and -10. It's important, as the governor said, that you watch out for hypothermia. It's important that you cover all of your exposed skin if you're going to go out. And I just want to say, if you do need to seek a warming shelter, they are now open across the area. In New York City and Suffolk, you can call 311. In Nassau, the hotline, and we'll get this, it's up on websites, we'll continue to push it out, is 866-927 6233. So if you need to seek warming even after the storm, there are resources available for you. And now I am going to Commissioner Dominguez, who is in the out in the middle of it in Long Island for an update on our roads.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much, Governor. Thank you, Commissioner Bray. Indeed, I'm out on Long Island here at our command center, where literally we've got eyes on all the roadways across the island, but not just here in Long Island, where also DOT has eyes on all of our roadways and working to clear those roadways safely as soon and as quickly as possible. Our forces have been out through the night, working around the clock 24/7. We're out in full force. We've got about 450 operators and supervisors out combating this storm. So far, things are going well. We've got about 250 DOT plow trucks that are on the road. They're not just treating the road, they're literally clearing ice and snow. I want to remind folks that we've got a 45-mile-an-hour restriction and advisory in place on the Long Island Expressway in particular, and all of the parkways across Long Island. We want to make sure people are going the appropriate speeds and literally be safe, be aware, know that there are folks that are out there, in particular our plow drivers, who are trying to do their job. And if you get in their way, just keep in mind that the plow is very large, very big, and you want to make sure that you give the plow driver enough room to actually operate. They're out there for your safety. And as the governor said, don't crowd the plow. Let them do their job so that they can clear the roadways and make us all safe. Just in terms of preparation, the governor referred to this, but the bottom line is that New York State DOT, we repositioned a number of assets, including over 100 personnel from upstate New York down to Lower Hudson Valley, and certainly here in Long Island, where we have made sure that we've got folks out ready to not only they're plowing the roads, clearing trees, doing whatever we need to do to make sure all the technology, signal technology, et cetera, is up and operating. We still have a lot of work to do. I encourage people to please stay home. Enjoy the afternoon, as the governor said, and tonight, and with the freezing temperatures that are about to ensue and high winds, you've got opportunity tomorrow to enjoy the whole day. Give us some room to actually clear the roadways and make sure that they're safe so that everybody can go back to work and enjoy next week safely. I think that the worst is behind us, but again, we still have some serious work to do. We've got a great elite snow fighting crew here at DOT, and we're at it, we're on it 24/7. We're gonna stay at it and make sure that we work with our partners locally, counties, local governments, et cetera, to make sure everything's clear and ready to go. Thank you again, Governor. We greatly appreciate your leadership during this event. And again, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And please give our gratitude to everyone who's out there literally on the streets as we speak to make sure that we're safe. And at this point, I'd like to hear what things are happening, the things that are happening with the MTA. You're going to get it in real time right now with our no longer acting, but our permanent CEO of MTA, and that is Jana Lever.
Thanks, Governor. The MTA story, I think, overall is a positive one. The subway system is operating almost fully. Almost every station is being served. That's 472 stations, only a couple not being served. We had to suspend temporarily the last stretch out to the Rockaways. We're providing buses to replace that service, but otherwise the subway system is in full gear. I actually rode the train up to this meeting, 10-minute ride from downtown to Midtown. Very positive. The buses are in great shape, 2,400 buses, all with chains on their tires and all operating and supporting New York. The commuter railroads, tale of two different stories. Long Island, we planned and we messaged with the governor's leadership that the Long Island Railroad would be shut down today, starting at 8 a.m., and it remains shut down. It's going to come back on tomorrow, but the planning for that resumption of service will depend, the exact timing of the resumption of service is going to depend on when the storm abates. So we're going to set that as soon as we can after the snow stops. but we are very focused on making sure, and we will have full service for the Long Island Railroad on Monday morning. Metro North, Westchester, the other northern suburbs, positive story. Hourly service on all three branches. The only suspensions are on the Harlem line, southeast to Passaic, the northern end, and the three branches in Connecticut. But otherwise, all three lines, New Haven, Harlem, Hudson, are getting hourly service on Metro North. And just a big shout out to the MTA workforce who came in, extra people came in to make sure that we were prepared and that we could manage through. That's all paying off. And a special shout out to Department of Sanitation of the city. They're keeping the roads clear for the buses, and it's making possible for bus service to be great.
Thank you, Jano, and I want to thank everyone, as you mentioned, who are part of that incredible team that are out there. When people are indoors, they're out there doing the work to make sure that people who are essential workers can get to their jobs in hospitals and in grocery stores and pharmacies. So we are so grateful for that. Director of State Operations, Catherine Garcia, anything to add, or how was your commute in today?
My commute in today was fine. I'd like to say that I want to reiterate what everyone else is calling for is please do stay home. And even if you are walking around, I know there's a temptation to walk in the street. You know, a plow is a ton of weight in front of a truck. You do not want to get anywhere near it. Give folks the opportunity to clear. We are coming all across this state, but we need a little bit of time once the storm passes.
And that is something I want to put an exclamation point on. Just because the snow stops doesn't mean life gets back to normal. That's when the true cleanup is going to continue. And that's when we need just a little more time to take care of the roads safely. And again, we all know everyone knows to do that. So let's see if we can follow that. And again, our wind chills, as I mentioned, this is what is the dangerousness we're talking about. We're expecting temperatures in the single digits tonight into tomorrow morning. And this is when frostbite kicks in. Look at how serious that can be. So we are trying to remind everybody, take this very seriously. And also one of the consequences I mentioned earlier is that you get the lines that come down. You end up with that situation where there's dangerous power lines on the ground, or else in your home you've lost the power. Right now, as of at least 10 a.m., we had about 424 homes in the state of New York without power. That is minimal. That is very good at this point, but we're not out of this yet. And so we're expecting that to actually go up as the winds pick up this afternoon, and we'll restore power. We'll be working with utility crews and making sure that they have whatever they need from us to do their jobs. But again, it was about deploying people on the ground right away. So here are some recommendations to protect yourself during a power outage and how to keep everything safe for you and your family members. Again, checking on your neighbors is really important. So as long as we're giving our forecasts and weather reports, let's talk about the winter surge of the pandemic. And it is still going on. And that's why one of my first questions this morning is what's happening in the hospitals, because we have a lot of patients, places like Long Island, downstate here as well, where there are people in hospitals being treated for many ailments, but COVID in particular. And I want to make sure that the healthcare workers could get to their jobs. And the report is, as we've checked in with all the hospitals, that they're in a very good place. And that was important to me, recognizing the confluence of factors dealing with the pandemic that is still persistent, but dramatically improving, as well as we're dealing with a nor'easter. So statewide positives, take a look at that. That is a beautiful sight. Down from 90,000 cases just earlier this month, and now down to 12,000 cases, which again, a few months ago, we would have thought was incredibly high, but put in the perspective of what we just came through. And we've done about 215,000 tests, or 215,254 tests. But what you've seen in those positives is an 86% drop in 3 weeks. That is fantastic news. And our hospitalizations have dropped about 39% in just 2.5 weeks. And we just lost, more people down. Another 500 have been discharged from the hospitals over the last 24 hours. And again, our single day positivity, 5.73%. And so we are absolutely trending in the place we've been wanting to get to for so long. And if we continue with that statewide, our 7-day average is always going to be a little bit higher, but that's about 7%. New York City, 5%. Long Island, 8.6%. And we still have lost a number of our fellow New Yorkers, 125 individuals. And so Again, that is put that in perspective. Just a couple months ago, we were talking about, still people passing away because of the pandemic, but it was 22, 24, 25. So this is, again, we talk about a lagging indicator. This eventually will go in the same direction as the cases and the hospitalization, but there's still a lot of people sick in the hospitals, and we want to keep all of the people and the families, members of those we've lost in our prayers. So hospitals are open. We're getting through this, and we know what to do. We know how to handle this. We're ready. We're prepared, and there's no group of people more resilient anywhere in this country than New Yorkers. So let's be smart, let's be safe, and then we'll get through this together as we always have. So thank you very much. And with that, we'll take any questions.
Thank you very much, Governor. Good morning. Reporters, please use the raised hand function in the lower right-hand portion of your screen. We're going to take a few questions. Up first is Steve Burns from WCBS Radio. Steve, your mic is open.
Hi, Governor. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Steve.
Hi, good morning. Few quick questions for you. First one's probably better for Jano in terms of the Connecticut branches of Metro North, what the resumption plan for those would be. Also, I think one of the unique parts of this storm is how cold it's going to be afterwards, not just the following evening, but for days ahead. It looks like we won't spend significant time above freezing until Wednesday or Thursday of next week. So does that pose any additional challenges for icing and re-icing and clearing things and any safety challenges going forward here?
Well, it certainly does. And that is what we're concerned about. It's not just a snowfall. It's going to melt very quickly and we're going to be fine. There are layers of ice that'll be under it, and it'll be the ice will take longer to go away because of the frozen temperatures, the frigid temperatures. And again, wind chills of 0 to -10 are dangerous for people, but they're also very challenging for people to salt and get the roads safe again so they're not slippery. So when you think about what we're in for starting on Monday, that's a commuting time. It's also a time when there'll be school buses back on the roads if the schools are open. So there's a lot of factors at play here. So yes, we're not going to be out of this for a number of days. There'll be a lot of cleanup, and that's part of it. But I'll let Commissioner Bray address that after we hear from Jano on your question about those particular lines.
Steve, the Connecticut branches you're referring to, which are the Danbury, New Canaan, and Waterbury branches off of the New Haven line, that decision about when to resume service on those is going to be made after the snow stops, when we see, where we stand and can determine how quickly we can recover. But we've made all the preparations to expedite that. So I'm confident we'll get that in shape by the Monday morning rush, and in all probability sometime tomorrow. Emphasize that decision about Connecticut restarts is made in consultation with the governor of Connecticut, Mr. Lamont. So, but we're on it, and the New Haven line, which is even more exposed than those branches, is operating, as I said, hourly service. So we're optimistic.
And Commissioner Bray, as you put on your hat as the former chief of staff to the National Weather Service in Washington, tell us about ice.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I should say we're going to have state crews, and I'm sure the local and the county crews out over the course of Sunday and Monday, continuing to brine the roads and salt the roads. We do expect the temp on Monday to get into that sort of mid to upper 20s, which will help with the salting and brine. So we'll have crews just stay out there until we're confident that the roads are not only passable and clear, but also that we don't have an ice threat coming. And as the questioner said, we do expect more mild temperatures coming Wednesday, and then very mild temperatures on Thursday and Friday. So the crews will stay engaged. We don't expect any significant additional ice buildup after this storm, but we expect to have to keep our crews out there to keep the roads clear.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Next
much,
question.
Commissioner. Governor, your next question comes from Sophia Chang, WNYC. Sophia, your mic is open.
Hi, Governor. Can you hear me?
Yes, Sophia. Thank you.
Great. So given the anticipated cold temperatures coming and with the terrible fire in the Bronx fresh on the mind, is the state offering any resources for folks who might be struggling to heat their homes, especially if there are further power outages?
That's a very good question. I'll ask Catherine Garcia to address what resources are available for those individuals. And we are concerned about people using space heaters. And so Catherine Garcia, why don't you give your reflections on that and what needs to be done to make sure that people are safe in their homes?
Certainly, if you do not have heat in your home, besides if you are a tenant, you should be reporting that to the government to make sure that we are addressing that with the landlord. But you should never be using an unattended space heater or using a gas stove to try and heat your home. There are warming centers available both within the city as well as the counties where you can go and stay warm. The state overall has through its Office of Temporary Disability Assistance funding that is helpful for people who need help paying for their utility bills. Obviously, that is not an emergency response by any stretch of the imagination, but I want to reiterate that if you are in some place that is too cold, do not use an unintended space heater. Do not use your stove to heat your home. Please reach out to 311 or to the phone number in Nassau County to make sure that you can get to a warming center.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Governor, and everyone. That's all the questions we have. Stay safe out there, please.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and stay safe.